Check out this overhung load. Pretty much acts like a diving board. Stick with me to the end and I'll show you where to add a couple supports to actually make it a usable base. I will be using just over 30 feet of some 14 gauge 1.5 inch square tubing. Even though it was new, I think I got the bottom of the barrel, and that's just because it was dirty and some sides were even starting to show some pitting. I recently picked up the Harbor Freight Bauer surfacing conditioning tool, not sponsored by the way, and it worked perfectly on this. Just a couple quick passes, then a wipe down of acetone, and we are ready to cut. If you want to make the same base as mine, which my dimensions are about 24 by 40 inches, here is my layout and cut list. Every piece is cut on a 45-degree angle. That actually makes things nice, and you're not having to change the angle setup every cut. Just keep in mind, all the dimensions listed are from end to end. I did start out with a Sharpie to make the cuts, and it works good. It's easy to use, but it does leave a fat line. Always double check and mark the piece once done. For a very fine precision line, use a utility knife. There are a number of ways to make your cuts, and for many years I used an abrasive chop saw. I've done a ton of projects with that Harbor Freight chop saw, but my new favorite toy to play with is the Evolution chop saw. This thing cuts like butter, there's no heat, and very little flashing, if at all, left on the piece. I should have made that jump a long time ago. With the saw set to your desired degree, just make sure you check it every once in a while, because sometimes, like mine, I noticed when I cranked it down on the handle a bit too hard, it threw the angle off a couple of degrees, which will give you a nice little gap in the corner to fill. As mentioned, yes, they're all 45-degree cuts. But take note to double check the piece you're actually cutting. If you notice when the piece turns direction or is in a different plane, the cut will be offset 90 degrees. Even with the nice edge from the Evolution, I do still like to make a very quick pass with the flapper disc. I've been asked a ton about my welding table, and I promise there is a video in the making about that table. One of the things I've debated putting on the table are some tabs or some edges to make my 90 degrees just perfect, true, and square. Until then, I've got my jig, which is just pretty much a clamped piece of scrap metal clamped down to the table. Check out that perfect seam. Pulled out the Yes welder, not sponsored, MIG 205DS for this project. It is an awesome multi-process welder and perfect for this project. I did a couple tests and found the amperage to be pretty good, right about 105 for all the tacks. And then I dropped it down to about 70 to 90, depending on if I was doing the flats or corners, for the rest of the full welds. Not necessary, but for a better consistent weld, you can grind down the tacks. I did it on these first couple just so I had a nice flat base to start off with. Now the process of fitting things up actually takes the longest, and it doesn't hurt to double or even triple check those angles. And it was right about this point when my suspicions of the diving board effect would come into place. At first, I did try to make some slight adjustments to counteract that, and then I realized, you know what, it would just be better off to tack everything in place and make those final adjustments later. And this is why you'll see the frame on some of the sides not totally square or plumb with the other sides. But each piece within its own plane is perfectly straight. Yep, still in the fit-up process. Just tackarooing. Finally, onto the full welds. Now, if you can't tell by now, I am using the MIG process on this machine. I have some .030 solid wire, and I'm using 100% argon. Remember when I said to double check that cut angle? Well, this is one of the times when it was slightly off, and I had to fill some of the gaps. And here's the best advice on outside corners. Since there's not as much material, turn your settings down. Key point to take note, I made the gap in between frames the same distance as the tubing thickness. This helped out to be able to support the frame while welding it, and you'll see at the end it actually helped to get the correct gap for those supports. And I definitely had to get in touch with my contortionist side, and that's just to be able to weld in some of those inside joints. And I didn't really care how those welds turned out, and that's because I knew I was going to be grinding them down. Now the fillet welds turned out pretty good, and since they are a pain to grind, I decided to keep those as is. Definitely can't go a full project without forgetting you need the ground connection. Kind of a must-have. I would say that part of the illusion for this project is not seeing those weld seams. So for all the flat and corner welds, I did grind them down. I did start out with a grinding disc, and for the fine touch, I went over it with an 80 and a 120 grit flapper disc. I actually want to use it for a coffee table base, so I need to, deal with the whole springiness issue that we got going on there. I figured that I could just add a couple little bars, little round bar, just in a couple spots, and with it being that small, I don't think that will take away from the effect at all, and I don't know, should be plenty stiff enough to actually put a tabletop on it and use it as a coffee table. 3 little supports, and well, it can hold my weight. A couple rattle cans of primer and paint, and it is done. I finished the base and I think it looks awesome. So I haven't decided whether to do a full glass top or kind of, an inserted glass thing. I think the full glass one would be better because you can see all the way through it. Either way, if you got any other ideas, let me know. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.